So there are three phases we are talking about. It's first, change the behavior. Yeah? Change the behavior. I was already saying before, one of the problems is that people, even if they have a plug-in hybrid, they don't even use it. So we need to tackle that. We need to change the behavior. We need to encourage everybody that the technology they already have is also being used. The next point we need to do together is to change the infrastructure. That is where we as Mercedes-Benz are already working on. And we are working on with private partners, and we are working on it with public partners. For example, we have a lot of hotel partners where we provided charging stations for cars. And important in that sense is also a Mercedes-Benz charging station is not exclusively for Mercedes. So if I see a BMW charging at our charging stations, I'm happy because it contributes to the mutual target we have to make the air cleaner. If there is any other car manufacturer charging at our stations, perfect. Yeah, no problem. We really want it. And then also public partnerships, what we already started also with our MOU with EGAT, for example, where we have charging stations network in development, and where we will collaborate on mobile applications, as I described before, and where we will also collaborate on further research and studies on the EV topic. And the third point we have to work on is that this becomes the new norm. So basically what we have to do, and to summarize it, is we have to change the behavior of people, we have to change the infrastructure, and we have to become the new norm. We have to do that also with really motivating people emotionally, because if you don't catch them emotionally, and if you only put a theoretical measure, like I said in the beginning, for example, with a global warming goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius, this is something people cannot really identify with, because they don't feel the direct consequences, and they don't feel how that affects their personal life on a day-to-day business. It's too theoretic, it's too far away. So that's why we have to get emotional. That is why we have to promote certain films and certain statements, and we have to get local heroes who are talking about why they do, why they charge their plug-in hybrids, why they would like to go electric, and why that is important. And we have to give tangible examples. And one tangible example, for example, is that if all plug-in hybrids, only Mercedes-Benz plug-in hybrids we have sold so far in Thailand, would drive full electric one day, we would have clean air in a size of 40,000-70,000 Olympic swimming pools. Yeah, that's quite an impressive number. And what I'm trying to say here is we need to really be tangible, and we need to explain people why that makes all sense and how that affects their daily lives. So in a nutshell, what we as Mercedes-Benz are standing for is for a global strategy on a global level to go full electric. Why do we want to go full electric? Because we also see the need that only with a concerted action on a global level, we can basically save our planet and our human mankind in the end. What do we do in Thailand? In Thailand, we started already in 2015 with the introduction of the Blue Tech. Now, this year, we will probably have our first full electric vehicle with the EQS, and we already are going the journey, but we cannot do that alone. And we cannot address air pollution, and we cannot address all the problems we are facing together as a society alone. That is why we need to create a movement, not just a campaign, together, where we say we need to change. And we need to change on a lot of different levels. But what we can tackle as an automotive manufacturer is the charging. And that is why we promote a lot the charge to change and invite everybody to join this movement wherever they can, so that we can tackle and play our role and our part in this global human mankind effort we have together. And with that, I would like to start the question and answers, and hope that there are a lot of questions and answers.
Björn, let me start. Thank you very much for your informative presentation. It's always great to see these nice cars on the screen. When is the next motor show, by the way?
The next motor show starts with the press day on 30th of November.
Okay.
And 1st of December will be the first publicly available day to visit us. And everybody obviously is invited to our stand. And will be surprised what vehicles we present, also in a sense of charge to change. Yeah? And
you will present the EQS?
We will.
Okay, that's a reason to come. But that was not my question, actually.
And if we get it on time, on Thai ground, but we do everything to get the vehicle on time on Thai ground. So I would be very disappointed if we don't get it.
Yeah, me too. My question, Björn, actually is related to the public awareness and changing the behavior. I think I noted the same, especially in Thailand. You don't really see that environmental awareness. You don't really see, that people are conscious and cautious about, protecting the environment. We don't see that Friday for Future here on the ground, although that may have other reasons, but I was surprised to hear, that people don't charge their plug-in hybrids, or even don't know. That's really surprising. So I mean, I think we can establish that working on public awareness is really, the crucial key. Not only relying on the government, but really getting the message out to the people, to become more aware of these issues, and that it will actually, benefit, their livelihood directly. But my question is different. You mentioned the charger infrastructure is crucial. I don't understand that, because a lot of traffic is here in Greater Bangkok, and then I would assume that the average distance people are driving is 50-60 kilometers on a given day, so they can easily charge at home and get back and charge again. So why is the charging infrastructure such an important issue to increase, e-mobility?
Because first of all, if you look at the private homes, and if you look, for example, at the condominiums of Thailand, then you see that in a lot of condominiums you have the parking logic that you don't have a fixed parking spot allocated to you, but it is just by first come first serve base. And then it is difficult, or there is no rule yet how you can then force the condominiums to have, for example, 10% or 15% charging stations. And then how do you charge the electricity, the electric power to the different owners if you don't have concepts behind how they can pay for it? Yeah. And as all of that is not given yet, it is easier, in my opinion, to first go with public charging stations, where you can easily then pay yourself and have your vehicle. because obviously it would be the best way to have that at the condominiums. But until this step is done and until there the rules are established and all the processes are established, I would suppose that takes far longer than having the public infrastructure available. And public for me would also mean at the office buildings, because usually at the office buildings, at least per company, you have reserved parking spots, and then you can charge to the companies, for example, at least. Yeah. So in my opinion, this is for speed reasons an important issue.
I mean, one would think, you know, making this an obligation to public buildings and also condominium buildings, you know, would help. But apparently you haven't seen any political initiative, you know, on behalf of policymakers to make this an obligation, right?
Yes, no, there is no, at least so as far as I know, no really initiative about that. And even if there would be, you have a next challenge that in a lot of the little sois, if you would then put on all the condominiums there, let's say 10% of all parking spots with charging stations, the whole infrastructure would be not capable to really bear the weight of electricity which you need to provide. And for that reason, it's also not at the moment, not the most efficient solution. The most efficient solution at the moment is to have the stations publicly available where also the infrastructure can bear it. Yeah.
Otherwise the grid would go down. Yeah.
Otherwise the grid would go down and you would have a lot of more blackouts than we already have from time to time.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yes, we have two open questions coming in the Q&A, but before that, I have saw that Dr. Wai have raised hand for a while. Would you like to start first, Dr. Wai?
Yeah, thank you very much, Björn. Also from my side, very insightful, and I hope you and we all together can succeed with your change to charge initiative. I would like to ask, as we all know, Thailand managed during the last 20-30 years to develop the industry here into a hub for automotive industry. And now to stay competitive, the target is also to become the center of the e-mobility here in at least ASEAN, because the automotive of the next generation is one of the target industries. So they want to have many local producers of zero emission vehicles here in Thailand, producing as a production hub. But on the other hand, there is China, which also has a strong industry in this regard, and they can export to Thailand with zero tax because of the free trade agreements. So in this context, how do you see the future of the automotive hub here in Thailand regards to the production of automotive zero emission vehicles?
I think that very much depends on the ongoing discussions with the Thai government. What I learned so far is that they are very well aware of the situation with the free trade agreement with China as well, and that there are certain initiatives to support the local industry, and that is not only the actual OEMs, it's also all the other manufacturers who depend on us as OEMs. But there are not concrete, or at the moment we do not see yet concrete laws which are established to on this way. The government clearly announced they would like to go. So I can only tell you, I'm expecting that there will be more support from the government for the industry. And I think there is really a goodwill, but so far we need to see the still the legal actions then.
Thanks.
All right, we have a few pending questions in the Q&As and also one in the chat. I would like to read it out first. For the first one, Björn, very good initiative. Even the public side is not yet available on the charging station. How much is it installation cost for the charging station for private home?
That depends very much on what power you really would like to install in your private home, meaning how fast you would like to charge your car. So first of all, it depends on that, and then obviously it also depends on how difficult in your specific home the installation is, yeah, because there might be some soils where it is very easy and other soils where it is difficult. I would say in average, but it's now only an average number I'm throwing out, it's around 30,000 baht, yeah, more or less.
Okay. And I have another relevant question as well. It's like you mentioned, depend on the budget and how fast of the charge that people will consider, right? Another question we have in the chat is that currently to understand that fully charged would be able to drive 400 kilometers, it would take around 30 to 45 minutes to charge a battery. Is there a future development to increase the speed of charging or distance?
Yes, there are a lot of future technologies to charge the vehicles very fast, and they even already exist, so that you can get a vehicle charged in 15 minutes up to 85%. So these technologies already exist, and also the 400 kilometers range. For example, with the EQS we are bringing to Thailand hopefully by the end of this year, you already have a range of 650, 700 kilometers around. It depends on how you drive and how much you use your air condition and how cold you put your air condition, because all that is energy consumption. But so I think we already, and that is the whole industry, what we are already showing with the electric cars and the generations we have right now is that range is not really an issue anymore. Because honestly speaking, I don't know too many people in Thailand who drive more than 600 kilometers a day. So with that range, I would say range is not an issue anymore. If you buy the right cars, it's more about how fast then you can charge overnight, yeah, because if you have a very old-fashioned charging station, it would take you probably 8, 9, 10, 11 hours, and that's a little bit long. If you have other charging stations, it's faster.
Okay, I think that's also a wrap for additional question on how long does it take to charge the plug-in in case it's empty. You already addressed that. Another question coming in is more on like addressing. Yeah.
Let me just say the plug-in. I was now the charging hours. I was talking about always about the capacity. If you have a smaller battery, obviously you charge it much faster, yeah. And then again, it depends on the charging station you have, yeah. There are faster charging stations who can provide more electric power at the same time to your battery, and there are charging stations who cannot do that. And it also depends on the software of the specific car, how fast the electric power you provide can it be put into the battery. And that very much for all car manufacturers depends on the generation of the vehicle and on the software which is used in the vehicle at this point of time. So I cannot really answer it generally because it really depends on the model and on the charging station.
Okay, thank you for the additional information provided. And as of now, I see only another questions open so far. In general, is more or less like addressing the statement that, okay, offering the hybrid solution is also depend on how much people could actually adopt that, like social wise and also financial wise. But the participant would like to know, do Mercedes-Benz have any approach that would like to contribute more to the clean mass transportation in Thailand, as in like in general, other than like providing the hybrid solution?
I mean, on a global level, as you all probably are aware of, Mercedes-Benz is concerning, now we have our project focus and we will be separated, but the Daimler Group as such is the global leader for trucks and for public transportation bus business on a global level. And also on a global level, we have several solutions offered to diverse markets, be it electric-driven buses, which are used in several towns worldwide, or be it with the fuel cell and fuel cell solutions. So there are these solutions. Nevertheless, public transport depends very much on the local situation and how local governments and local towns substitute public transportation, and how the buying of tenders, for example, of a certain number of buses are done. And what is the focus in these tenders then? So, for example, if in a tender of a local government, they don't put the necessity of, let's say, an electric-driven bus, and then the electric-driven bus will be never competitive compared to a very cheap produced bus with a diesel engine. So there we come again to the responsibility of the local government, who then decides, okay, for example, we want to make the public transport in Bangkok, for example, CO₂ neutral locally, then they would need to go for electric buses, and the tenders they would then have on the market would oblige the buyers to go only for electric buses. So we have an offer, but we are dependent on the local institutions to establish the rules of the game so that people are motivated to participate.
Thank you very much. Looking at time-wise, I think we are ready to go to the closing remark, which will be covered by our chairperson, CAI Working Group, Andreas Richter.
Thank you.
And so thank you very much, Björn, and thank you to all participants for questions and contributing. Let me look at my notes quickly. We have 2 more seminars, to come for our air initiative. On December 14, we will hear about clean buildings, and on January 11 next year, that will be our last seminar of the series, we will hear about the use of agricultural residuals. As we all know, a major contributor for PM 2.5, especially during the winter season. So 2 more very interesting events, in the pipeline before we wrap this series up. So thank you very much again. Thank you for participation, and I hope we see you then in December and January again. Thank you. Bye-bye.